as you can see, there are plumes of smoke above Tel Aviv in Israel this evening as Iran has launched retaliatory strikes. It comes after Israel struck dozens of targets in Iran, including nuclear facilities, military sites and private residences believed to be holding key Iranian military and political personnel. They killed many of them. Iran has been saying all day that they were going to retaliate. Their quote was that everyone will feel it. You're listening to sirens there in Tel Aviv. We believe that the first wave of that retaliation has now happened. It's not clear if there have been any casualties on the ground, but in Tel Aviv there are plumes of smoke around the skyscrapers in the city. It's not clear at the moment if these were from missiles or interceptions, or if there's frankly something in between, whether or not those missiles were intercepted and then did just plunge to the ground. Israel did say that it destroyed nuclear infrastructure in Isfahan in Iran. They attacked there in an operation yesterday. The IDF said that it destroyed a facility for producing metallic uranium, infrastructure for converting enriched uranium, laboratories and additional infrastructure. The Iranians confirmed that there had been multiple casualties. These include several top military personnel. For example, Mohammad Bagheri was the highest-ranking military officer in Iran. He'd been the chief of staff for Iran's armed forces. We had Hossein Salami as well. He was the commander-in-chief. There's also Gholam Ali Rashid, who was the head of the central headquarters for the Iranian regime, and several others as well. They also managed to kill several nuclear scientists in Iran. By the last count, there was at least 4 who were essentially executed by the Israelis yesterday for their role in, the Israelis believe, helping to make sure that Iran can obtain nuclear weapons. So I'm just going to give you the very latest. This is hundreds of ballistic missiles were launched from Iran towards Israel. This is marking the start of Tehran's response to intensive Israeli strikes. Now, that's what Iranian media have reported. Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, says that Israel started the strikes and initiated a war. So we're seeing tit for tat here, not just militarily, but also in terms of rhetoric. The Israelis say that they were left with absolutely no choice but to attack Iran. And they say that because they think that Iran may well have been planning an invasion of Israel from land, air and sea. They say that they had the evidence for that. They say that President Trump, the head of the United States of America, was tipped off about this as long ago, potentially as Monday, definitely by Wednesday, he was aware of it. So the US have said that they weren't going to get involved in that first round of attacks. The understanding that I have is that both Iran and Britain have said that they are willing to defend Israel, i.e. defend them from some kind of attack, presumably like the one that we're seeing now, but they weren't willing to be part of that initial attack. So we'll have to wait and see what happens now. But the latest that I'm receiving here from Reuters is that hundreds of ballistic missiles have been launched from Iran towards Israel. And the scenes that you're seeing now on your television screens are plumes of smoke above Tel Aviv. We are not 100% sure yet whether or not that means that anything actually hit or whether that's from some kind of interception and then those missiles crashing down to earth. Of course, Israel does have that incredible Iron Dome. I am actually now just seeing additional footage which is coming through on social media from that landing site. And from what I can see, it does seem as though some missiles did manage to pierce that Iron Dome and then crash down into the centre of Tel Aviv. Our Home and Security Editor, Mark White, is ready for us. Mark, thank you very much. What do you know about what we're seeing here?
Well, you're looking at those live images of Tel Aviv tonight with a plume of smoke that has risen over one of the sites where either a direct missile strike occurred or perhaps the debris of a missile has fallen. We have seen there are images that are now circulating. I think the Reuters camera live shot may have captured some of it, where you can see a significant number of impacts on the ground in central Tel Aviv, with the subsequent sort of explosions on the ground as those either missiles or parts, components of missiles land. Because basically what happens, Patrick, is that you have a system, of course, we're all familiar, we've heard so much about the Iron Dome system, but that's a system that Israel had set up to deal with the kind of threats of lower moving munitions from Gaza, from southern Lebanon, the likes of rocket fire, mortars, slower moving missiles. When you're dealing with ballistic missiles, as these are according to the Israel Defense Forces, they are moving so fast, they go up into space and then come down. And in the terminal phase of that plummet to Earth, they reach enormous speeds. They're very difficult to actually shoot out of the sky once they re-enter the atmosphere and head back down again. And so what the system is, you can see from those images there, some interceptions over Tel Aviv, but one of those right down there on the ground there impacting. Now that may well have been a fragment of the missile rather than actually a ballistic missile explosion as such, because although of course there is an explosion, it's part of a missile and it will have been carrying fuel and the like. The warhead of a ballistic missile would cause a very significant explosion. So that may be the after effects of missiles being detected. We'll have to wait to get word from the IDF. As I was just saying, Patrick, though, what they have to do, they've got the Arrow system now, which, you've got missiles that go up into space that meet these ballistic missiles just before they turn to come down on that terminal phase of the mission to the ground and take them out basically above the Earth's atmosphere. It is still quite spectacular. You can see the flashes up in the sort of ionosphere right above the Earth there as they're being dealt with. But some real concern as we continue to watch these images that there will be other waves of ballistic missiles launched from Iran tonight, Patrick.
Yes, indeed, Mark. What are the ramifications of what we're looking at here now? So it is the first wave, you think, of a series of ballistic missile attacks. What are the consequences to this going to be?
Well, look, this is the showdown that everyone had feared for a good number of years as Iran embarked on that nuclear program. It says for entirely peaceful purposes. Few believe that it's doing anything other than trying to obtain a nuclear weapon. And in fact, the US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said that just a couple of days ago as talks aimed at trying to find a solution to the nuclear ambitions of Iran in a peaceful way rather than what's playing out now. We're getting nowhere. Clearly, President Trump was frustrated. Pete Hegseth said that the US were absolutely clear that Iran is embarking on an effort to build a nuclear weapon, a nuclear bomb. And we heard from Benjamin Netanyahu just in recent hours saying that actually Iran was within a year at most, possibly months, of actually building nuclear bombs. They have enough enriched uranium to build 9 nuclear weapons at present and more as they are allowed, if they were allowed to continue this enrichment program.